Gator, there was parts about this episode I really liked, like the race against the clock as the High Towers are making their moves to secure the crown,
Yeah.
inching closer to
Yep.
the Dance of Dragons. But there were a couple moments in here where I'm just like, what the what? Like, what's going on here?
Jeez.
Who's writing this?
Well,
And like,
what is it's a little draggy, is what it was. It was dragging on a little bit. Yeah,
a little dragging on. Yeah,
it was dragging on a little bit, and it's like it sucks that Rhaenys's like most badass moment was in this episode because it was a little bit. You were kind of confused exactly what was happening. I guess I forgot why both like Kristen Cole's little troop, with Aemond, and then those two twins, why they were separately looking for Aegon, right? And then I remembered at the end, yeah, it's because Otto and Alicent both are looking for him. And in the end, like, it's not really that big of a difference. So yeah, the race against like who can get Aegon first, it just kind of seemed inconsequential, right?
Well, so that is for Otto and Alicent to figure out which direction they want to take moving and addressing Rhaenyra. Alicent wants to go, hey, here's the terms, accept them. Otto is like, fucking kill her right now. Like, we got to kill her right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So whoever gets in the ear of Aegon first is going to get their way. So that's basically what it was. But yes, like you said, on the grand scale of things, probably not a big deal. But yes, there was something there.
But it's also just the fact of like, that seems kind of dependent on word not getting to Rhaenyra about this whole thing first from someone like Rhaenys, and the fact that Rhaenys ended up breaking free in the end, and now she's going to go tell Rhaenyra exactly the way she sees it, which is probably the correct way. Like Rhaenyra is probably going to hear like the actual truth about the situation. I just don't see why any of that was necessary to show in that way. I don't know. I thought this episode was probably one of the weaker ones of the whole thing, but I still enjoyed it. You know how it is. All right, yeah, let's do some family tree business.
Yeah, well, hold on. Do you think this episode would have been better if at the bottom of the screen or every once in a while a clock would fade in, similar to 24? You know what I'm saying? Like,
do we get the beep? I was going to say. Or it's like
might
maybe
be like a bell. Yeah, like a boom, boom.
Well, yeah, maybe like a 60 minutes kind of thing. Really hammer home. Well, because we don't want it to be.
Oh, no, it'd be some sands like.
Right? Like an hourglass?
Yes, just like that.
Dude, so, badass.
Yeah, you said Rhaenys's badass scene here. You really think it was all that badass? I thought it was like
I said it was her best moment so far, because what else has she really done?
True.
That's what her best moment. It's her most badass moment, and she kind of biffed it because if she torched that whole stage, I mean, there's no conflict in the rest of the show, right? I mean,
right, and
saying.
I feel like this series is really pushing people to be Team Black. Everything the Greens are doing is always so dark, and there's like really no redeemable person from Alicent down in her chain. I mean, Aemond a little bit, but everyone else is kind of like, oh, these guys are fucking weird.
Larry's was okay till the feet came out.
We'll get to that real quick, but for Rhaenys, if you want to be any reason to be on Team Green, Rhaenys committing this terrorist attack at the coordination of Aegon gives you every reason to be on Team Green, because you're like, as much as you want to say like they're jumping the line here, Rhaenys commits one of the largest acts of terrorism probably in
okay
in a while.
This is like discount terrorism. That's like if 9/11 if they hijack the planes and then they're going right for the Twin Towers and they go psych and then avoid the Twin Towers and then land the dragon like peacefully, maybe take out a few people on the plane at most. That's discount terrorism.
Dude, no, the dragon pit, whatever area they're at there, right?
Fucked it up.
They were nut to butt. And then all of a sudden that dragon comes up and it's like, oh, do you think everyone just cleared out somehow? No, everyone below there died. And then the dragon starts like swinging around trying to go to the door. Dude, she's killed so many people there. Probably 1,000. At least 1,000 people are dead right there, if not more. So what do you think?
I'm glad you were keeping count. I'm glad you were keeping count because I was.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I have to give myself every good reason to be on Team Green, and this is a great reason to be that way.
Yeah, this made it very difficult because in the last few episodes, we talked about how Otto really came around to me. I started to really like Otto. And now in this one again, like it was kind of cool to see that when Viserys died and Alicent, the dumbass, it's like, first of all, I don't know how she possibly could have pieced together that the final words were to make her son Aegon. Like, think about the words like Aegon's dream, the prince that was promised.
Like, nowhere did he say Rhaenyra should sit on the throne.
I understand that, but nowhere did he say Aegon should sit on the throne. He said Aegon's dream, the prince that was promised. It's you. So what, did he think he was talking to Aegon in her eyes, but he's still referencing Aegon's dream, like in the third person? Like, what makes no sense.
Yeah, there's wishful thinking on her part here, but I
Either
do.
way, oh, sorry, I get cut myself off mid-sentence.
Go ahead. Yeah.
When he said that to this, when she said that to the small council, and then she finds out that everybody was basically planning on doing this anyway, regardless of like
Oh, I
what
know.
Viserys or what she interpreted from Viserys. That was kind of cool that they were scheming that the whole time. But again, it's nothing that we didn't already assume was going on. Not really.
Right. I just thought it was kind of weird that they didn't have was it Bees guy, that
Oh
guy
yeah.
that like Christian Cole like tells like, hey, how about you sit down, shut the fuck up? And all of a sudden he's like, oh shit,
No, yeah,
dude.
crushed his head.
Yeah, this is that scene I liked a lot too, because everyone was on the same page, kind of like, all right, well, turn to page 3.
Yeah,
Implement
exactly.
now. And I liked that part of it. I love how Otto was just immediately ready to go at it here, pushing his whatever agenda here. But you said you weren't on Otto's team at all at the beginning. You're saying right now, how do you
Yeah.
feel about Otto?
Yeah, now see, I'm kind of back against him a little bit because, like you said, everything that they're doing just makes him seem so scummy. And it's like, honestly, like we talked about this before, I do think Otto himself is actually still the best person to rule the Seven Kingdoms at this point because I think he's very objective. He's like
Yeah,
power hungry, but I don't think he's cruel for no reason. I think he would prefer to keep things just, if not to like keep the faith in his house. But from
yeah,
like the common people, I think he's actually smart in that way. Like when he actually did business with the White Worm in this episode,
right, yeah.
he didn't like order somebody to go kill her right afterward. He actually might keep his word. But at the same
Well,
time, it's like he installed Aegon, who I feel like is going to become like a more incompetent version of Joffrey. And it's not going to be the same as the Tywin Joffrey situation. He's not Tywin. I don't know. I just think I'm a little against Otto now, man. It's
I
just,
think the White Worms area was getting burned down. Did you notice that at the end of the episode?
oh, is that what
That
that
big
was?
fire. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was
Well,
her
but that
area.
was
So,
Larys. That was Larys, right? That
yeah,
wasn't Otto.
yeah, that could have been underneath Allison's order or Otto's order, because Larry's kind of like gives a little inkling towards Otto, being like, "Hey, I
Right.
could help you out here too, if you show me some feet as
Yeah, I was
well."
gonna
I
say,
mean,
do you think Otto
one of the
showed his
greatest
feet?
arcs, or like I guess not arcs, a character development for somebody in Game of Thrones or House of Dragon thus far now has been Larry's reveal of his foot fetish, and also kind of get Louis C.K. vibes off him too, right?
Oh,
Just sitting
absolutely,
there.
right in front of her.
Just jerks
Well,
it off.
I thought the weirdest part was like how little it requires for him to get off too. Like she took her like socks off, whatever, and just kind of puts her toes right above the table, so they're kind of barely peeking over. Right, he's barely
Yeah.
seeing any of it, and then she actually puts her feet away to the side of her, and then he starts jerking off. By the way, in his clothes, he's just gonna walk around with cum clothes all day. He's gonna
Oh
wear a
yeah,
cum coat, cum coat with cum clothes. It's ridiculous.
okay, I first looking at it, of course, yeah, red flags going, dude, what are you doing with all that cum? You got to put it somewhere. I think he's
Right?
probably thought it out. Looking at everything he's done thus far to thinking things out,
You
I'm
think he
sure
has
he
a
has some
Ziploc in
sort of,
there?
oh yeah, he has a Ziploc bag in there. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sure that's what he has. No, I'm sure there's something in there, like some sort of device. Maybe it goes right into his club foot. Maybe that's what it is. It's like a straight vein
Oh
in there. It's
yeah.
been building up this whole time. But
So,
I
do
love
you
this
think it's body
development of,
modification? Like
uh
he isn't born crippled or anything, but he installed like he did that to his leg so he could jerk off discreetly whenever he wants.
yeah, he wasn't born that way, but eventually when Lionel Strong was like, "Stop jerking off," he had to like develop something, and I guess he ended up getting a club foot by doing so.
Wow. Well, good for him.
Okay, they kind of explain a little bit about his B logo as well, and it's basically just another meaning of him being a simp for the queen. He's like, "If the
Yes.
bees, if the bee die," or I forgot exactly what was
Yeah, it's,
going
it's
on.
like the
But
wasp, yeah, or something. Yeah, whatever.
yeah, but he's basically saying like, I simp for the queen." I'm like, oh, dude, getting simp vibes off Larry's and Kristen Cole
Oh
here.
my
That
dude, Kristen
it's like
Cole.
anything for my queen. Like, Cole, I wanted better for him, and I hate that. Well, first off, dude, you need to chill out. You got to figure out your anger issues. But also, I don't think they're doing a great job, kind of portraying a justifiable anger for Kristen Cole to like
Not
lash
at
out.
all.
Because now, like, I gave some leeway with Joffrey, but now with Beesworth, whatever his name is, the council here. I'll go to the next slide here. He's dead here because of Kristen Cole, and I just feel like as if you could write a better way where you kill people without just like bashing him into the table by accident. Like I feel like you could have just done a little bit better on that
Yeah, I
writing.
do too. It seemed very, very strange. It looked so forced. Like Kristen, it was out of nowhere, and they actually pass over it as if nothing happened at all. So yeah, it was a really strange death sequence. I think that definitely could have been written better.
I like the Lannister in this scene.
Me too.
I don't. Is it Tylan?
Yeah, this is
Tylan or
Thailand. I'm
Jason
pretty
or
sure. I don't think it's
Jason?
Jace. I think this is Thailand.
when he has to walk around Westerling in that scene, and he's like, "Can we get rid of the body?" And like,
I
Otto's
know.
like,
No
"No."
one leaves. It's like, no, no, no. Body stays, you stay. And that's I was getting pissed off in this episode, man. Like, if this episode did anything really good, I actually felt like I was trapped in these areas with these characters. I think I'm just so invested in the series too. That probably is what does
Yes,
it. But like, I really felt trapped. Like when what's her name? Rhaenys was trapped in her room that first time. We all know what was happening, and she looked out the window and she saw what was happening. And I was just like, oh, dude, I want to get out of there so fucking bad,
I
especially
know.
since she has a dragon. Like, who can tell her what to do? Yeah. I think that's the one thing this episode did really well. But and also Westerling, talking about the Quiet Council chambers and people being trapped in there. Westerling was great in this episode too. Of
Yeah, we said before he reminded me of Barristan a lot, and then in this
course.
scene, of course, at the beginning, you get a ton of like, just oh wow, that is just like how Barristan would be, being honor above all, and yeah, I like him, and I think in the book I've heard he's supposed to be dead now, so I guess it's I don't know
Oh, okay.
fully what's going to be going on here, but if we look at this the way it breaks down, I bet Westerling now probably comes over to the Reds, right? Or excuse me, the Blacks over here,
Oh
right?
yeah, that no
Yeah, he's
doubt, no
definitely
doubt.
over here. Yeah, we see a lot of the people in the center here. We get to talk about the Baratheons as well. Now, the Baratheons are friends of Rhaenys because she's half Baratheon,
Yep,
but
yep.
they also kind of allude to potentially they're up for grabs because he has so many daughters here that they
Well,
could marry into something.
what about that sequence when all the lords were like bowing to Otto
Oh,
in that scene? With those were just people in King's Landing, right? The nobles. They
right.
weren't like
Yeah.
part of the great houses. Okay, yeah, I thought so. Okay, all right, never mind. We're
I
good.
know you're Rickon up here. He's definitely still
Rickard Stock. Yeah, that
which
dude.
I think if you want to put money on something, because we haven't read the books at all, we've only seen like slight spoilers that get kind of leaked whenever people are doing
Slight
stuff. But I think
spoilers.
the Starks probably go over to Blacks because
I
they're
think
like
so too. Yeah.
because they're more of a loyalty, not a conniving group, and because who's her name? The White Worm kind of has got her shit burnt down. I think she leans this way. I don't know where
Yeah, it's a
she
good place to
goes.
put it. Halfway. Yeah.
What do you think about everybody else here, then, real quick?
Yeah, well, Baratheon, I think you answered it. I think unless they really want to throw a curveball in it and send him over to Team Green, I don't think so. And I could see him doing it, I suppose. But
You think he
uh,
leans this way?
yeah, he leans this way. Okay, well, the what are those two guys named? Eric and Eric, or what are they?
Yeah, Arik and Eric. They're just like spelled with an
Well,
A or
whichever
an E.
whichever whichever one turned coat in this episode, he's definitely going to Team Black. At
Yeah,
least undercover. I'm not sure which one's which, but
yeah. I think one's still loyal because he's trying to get.
yes, and then the other one's opposite.
Yeah, the other one was trying to get Rhaenys out of the city. And you talk about claustrophobic scenes with Rhaenys. Oh, dude, when she's going through King's Landing, trying to move through the
Oh,
crowd, that is
dude,
like one
I
of my
know.
worst
She
nightmares.
actually handled it super well. Like, at no point did she really look that stressed. Like maybe for the first two
No,
seconds, but then she seemed to flow with the crowd just fine. It ended up escaping just fine. So I mean, hey,
but
good on her, right?
I'm still thrown off that you think that scene was okay for her. Like, oh yeah, that was just totally fine that she
What? Oh,
killed all those people.
discount terrorism? Come on, it was fun.
Discount terrorism.
Especially what goes on in here. Listen, Otto would do way worse if whoever does not cheer in that crowd was going to be executed. So I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? They're underlings, dude. No one cares about them. They're literally sanding down, filing down kids' teeth so they can kill
Oh,
each
I
other
know.
in a ring. Okay, they deserve to die.
Yeah, dude, that's like, there's no really redeeming factor for Aegon, and I wish more people in this series like were just gray, right? Because Rhaenyra is gray, even though like there's things about her I
Yeah,
really don't
Damon
like.
too,
Damon's really
and
good as a gray
Aemond
character.
actually. Aemond is also gray, I think.
Yes, I think so too. I think a lot of like Alicent, Otto, some are more darker shades gray than
Yeah.
others, right? That they're
Otto is a
evil
great
and
example
bad.
of someone I wish was more gray because he had potential to be, and he was up until probably this episode.
Yeah, I think well, Otto just knows how to get shit done. Like he knows like, okay, if we don't act now, people are able to like that bald guy, this guy here. I didn't get his name at all, but I'll move him to the center here and make him
Oh
big.
yeah, that one who had like was
This guy,
martyred or whatever.
yeah. Well, also, real quick, life hack here for people, some tips, right? If you plan on leaving the city and not swearing allegiance to some person, you might as well take the knee right now, swear allegiance, and then
And
get the
leave.
fuck out of there.
Just lie. Just lie.
He waits
What is it on
forever.
videotape? Yeah, I know
Again,
he does.
again, I think a lot of this comes down to the execution of the moving pieces in House of Dragon than it is the pieces themselves. Because you go, this guy, it makes sense why he goes for Team Black, right? Because he has allegiance over to that side and stuff. But just the execution of it, of him showing his cards to everybody that, oh yeah, I'm Team Black. I waited like 10 years to take a knee in front of Otto. Hope that didn't trigger anything off. And then he immediately tries to run out of King's Landing, or excuse me, the Red Keep. It's like,
Yeah, I know, I
you're
know.
showing,
Yeah,
man.
like real discreet, dude. It's unbelievable. And then too, when Otto's like, dude, I don't know. It kind of seemed like you were gonna go right off and tell Rhaenyra. He's like, no, I wasn't. And he's like, well, what were you gonna do then? No response. It's like, what the fuck? You didn't think about maybe what you were gonna say in case you got caught?
Oh, ba, 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 ba.
I know. He said nothing the entire time until they took him out too. It's when they started dragging him out, he didn't even try to fight it. He just accepted his fate. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Like
So
your
I think
family.
so in this episode, I think this like almost basically tells you, hey, the blacks are the good guys here, right?
Yes, yeah,
Team
yeah.
Black. It makes you try to lean that way. I'm trying to fight that because I just want there to be this flip a coin any day of the week who should be right here. I like that more
Well,
so than this feeling like the high towers and everything, feeling like the Lannisters, basically because there's so many beats that like repeat themselves, or
yes,
other
absolutely.
similarities or whatever between this and the main Game of Thrones storyline.
Well, you know what they could do, and I said this in a previous video. A lot of these characters that we assumed moved to Team Black, like House Stark and these like quote unquote good guys, right? Baratheons possibly too.
Yeah.
If they introduced a third faction into this that are objectively like morally superior good guys, and then you left Team Black with the like we say the only truly gray characters that there are left, which are Rhaenyra, Daemon, and their kids. You could even send Rhaenys and Corlys over to this new like objectively good guy faction. And actually, it would kind of make sense too if there was a third faction that ends up getting eliminated by the gray group or Team Green.
Yeah.
Like the Valerians are perfect catalyst for that, because we know their line doesn't exist down the line to Game of Thrones.
Right.
So if they like get genocided, or I mean, how many are left, right? Like 4 of them. If they get killed on this newer faction, I think that's a good way to do it, because then you have your bad guys if they really need it, Team Green. You have your good guys, this mysterious unknown, who knows, Team Stark, whatever fan service for Game of Thrones. And then you do have your gray side. I think that satisfies everything. I hope they do it, man. I want a third faction involved. Otherwise, this is actually way simpler and like two-note than Game of Thrones was.
Or at least give us some camps within each side, right? Because we kind of have a Otto versus Alicent within Team Green, right? Then that could break down as like different sides within that team. But on the Team Black, I'm not sure where that would be and who the friction would come from, except for maybe Corlys and Rhaenyra / Daemon's side, right? You could have a fraction in there as well.
You
But
could, yeah.
if you split it like that, like if it was basically 4 teams, like 4 sub teams within 2 larger teams, that would work too, because I like people backstabbing, conniving, trying to move their way into being positioning for power. And I think in Game of Thrones is awesome because not only was it the War of 5 Kings, but then you also had Dany out on the side, right? So there's basically 6 factions,
Yes.
just from the like factions that are drawn, very clear within the dirt of where everyone stands. So if you had something like that, I think would be interesting, but I don't think it's going to be like
Well, I don't think it'll be that either. And like, first of all, you said Corlys. I think Corlys is still alive too, by the way. What do you think of that? Corlys has got to be still alive, or else they wouldn't beat off around the bush so much about it.
Yeah, he's probably still alive.
I think so too. He'll probably come back too, and it'll be a big dramatic entrance, and he'll make a difference, which will be cool.
Here's a theory. I think he just doesn't want to be by his bitching wife, and he's just like, oh yeah, tell him, I don't know, I'm sick.
He's with Laenor, dude.
Yeah,
he found Laenor. He's like, oh my boy. It's like, Dad.
Dick is awesome.
Yeah, Dick is. It's so much better, dude. It's not even funny. Yeah, but dude, he shaves the sides of his head as well. It's like, with my son, I was so wrong about you. No, but if they do have these like inter-house conflicts, right? Like these little camps within each side. If they do that, they need to spread out. Because like, think about in Game of Thrones, like Littlefinger was kind of a little manipulator within. He's kind of like the Larry Strong, right? But eventually Littlefinger ends up going and taking over the Vale, like across the 7 kingdoms. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. And then you have the Freys, who are like this wild card renegade house that can't really do anything, but they do control this like major like
point,
what do you want to say, like infrastructure resource. So we don't have that stuff though. It just feels so much less complex than Game of Thrones, and that's my main issue. Like if we end up just having these 2 factions, one from King's Landing, one from Dragonstone, and then everybody else is like plot device, no personality, kind of faceless thing they run into once in a while and use and be done with, that's just lame.
Yeah, just give the visual here. You see King's Landing, and it's the Crown lands down here. Everything basically has been taking place, which I don't mind, right? Give us the beginning here and then spread out more, because Dragonstone is right here to the right on the Crown lands out in the Sea of Blackwater Bay. Driftmart is right here, and then King's Landing is right here. So like they're within like spitting distance kind of each other when
Yeah.
it comes to all of Westeros up here, you know. And if you get the Starks all the way up in Winterfell to come down for whichever faction, like, all right, maybe next year I'll see you. No,
Right.
whatever.
No, I
You know,
know.
like, and Dorne also, Dorne's not a part of the kingdoms right now because they still haven't come within the fold because the Aegon's conquest, he was not able to conquer Dorne.
Oh, right. And, that could be an interesting thing, too. Again, we don't know the books, so maybe this happens later or whatever. Or it's not that significant. But they've brought up Dorne several times in
Yeah,
this show in a significant way. Like it's kind of untapped territory, and there's something that they're waiting for to happen. Even in this episode, when the Lannister comes in and he doesn't know the king's dead yet, he's like, what, did Dorne invade? Or, he says that like sarcastically, or maybe it
yeah,
was the
yeah, yeah.
opposite. Maybe they said, did we invade Dorne? But that kind of thing could happen. It could throw a wrench in stuff, and like this, civil war might have a third faction coming in trying to upset the balance of either one. I don't know. There's just a lot
Yeah.
going on
Well,
here,
like
but also nothing going on at the same time. And that's what's a little irritating.
the stepstones down here, right? If you had the Triarchy join forces with Dorne, that'd be kind of cool. Like you were saying, you're talking about the Triarchy earlier. But if they came in with Dorne and somehow were able to be a pressure from the south, but it doesn't feel like, and we talked about before how it felt so one sided with the blacks versus greens. If you see here, it doesn't feel like it's all that one-sided anymore. Like if you look right here where the dragons lie here, and I think these kids Dame and got their eggs for them. So
Yes.
they're probably going to be getting dragons soon. We haven't seen anybody else on screen. These are just like the non-spoilers confirmations I could get for it. But dragons wise, it kind of feels not that. I think these kids have dragons too. It doesn't feel that one-sided, right?
No, I don't think so either. And actually,
And
I think
warriors wise,
I think that the sides will turn. Like, okay, these strong kids, I don't think they're going anywhere. I don't know if major spoilers or anything, but I'm pretty sure that Viserys that we see in Game of Thrones, the one that dies from Khal Drogo, I think he's Viserys the third, and the one that just died in House of the Dragon is Viserys the first. So something
right?
tells me that the child here of Rhaenyra and Daemon, Viserys the second, is going to be king at some point.
Yeah,
So I don't think those two kids are going to die. I think they'll stay important, but I think these strong kids are going to be disposable, and their dragons are going to either die or be up for grabs real quick. Like I'm talking maybe even this season.
plus, we really don't hear about the Valerians in House of Dragon, or excuse me, Game of Thrones, which is
Right.
170 years from now. So a lot
Yeah.
can change, right? Just
They're
like
fucking done.
High Towers, Strongs. We don't really hear their names. They're not that prominent. The only ones of this group here that are all that prominent are the Targaryens, and of course, no matter which side wins here, it's going to be a Targaryen regardless. What'd you
Mhm.
think of Aegon's crown he gets here at the end with
Or the Iron Crown of the Conqueror or whatever.
yeah, of Aegon's.
Why'd they even start abandoning that? Like, why wasn't Viserys wearing that? It's actually a pretty cool crown. I was surprised it fit Aegon's head so well. It's like, man, it'd be very difficult to modify an Iron Crown.
Yeah, it
At
would be.
least and make it look good.
Yeah, I hope we've talked about it before. I hope Aegon and Aemond are able to bulk up because it just looks so little and weak. And as
Yeah.
small as Jon Snow and Robb were in Game of Thrones, they didn't look that bad because I think they cover him up with armor. But when Aegon walks out there, he just looks so wimpy. They should have armored him up so he didn't look so pathetic.
Aegon, well, he's kind of supposed to be pathetic, but yeah, Jon Snow though and Robb, those two actors, they are really twinky, but they do have like a somewhat athletic frame. Compare that to somebody like Aemond, he's complete ectomorph, man. Like he's really, really skinny. His wrists are skinny. I'm sure his calves are pathetic too. Not that I'm bragging about calves because holy shit, my calves, man, it's genetic, I swear. But he's a narrow guy, Aemond especially. Yeah. He's the one I want to bulk up. And if we're being honest, I want Daemon to bulk up a little bit too, because I know for a fact these two are going to fight. We've been getting foreshadows of that.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to see some muscle heads going at it. I know the Targaryens are kind of, slim. They're long and lean and their heads are throbbing or whatever. But I think they need to bulk up.
What? Who do you think the MVP of this episode was? One character you think either... for whatever reason, give you a reason why you thought they were the MVP of episode 9.
I almost want to say Alicent, to be honest with you. I mean, okay, Rhaenys is the obvious answer for me. Because I think this is her
Yeah, you
best
love
moment in the
terrorism.
series. I
Yeah, oh,
love
yeah, yeah.
terrorism. I'm pro-terrorism. Okay, let's just get that out of the way
Official
now.
position of
Official
Flaccid
position of
Phoenix.
Fast Phoenix, pro-terrorism. But I think maybe Alicent's, because she was the only one kind of cutting against the grain. Uh, like everybody else is just submitting to Otto's like thing. I don't know how many of these people who took the knee, in that chamber,
Yeah,
figured that Otto was bullshitting and that Viserys didn't actually pass down the heir to his son. But it's like Alicent's the only one. She actually believes that's true. She's
yeah.
the only one that actually believes that it's true. And even she's trying to, have some mercy on the opposition. So I think Alicent, she's actually sticking to her guns and being like a little bit stronger of a character.
I wish there was a moment where Allison questioned like what she heard, because she definitively just goes right outside of
It's
that door.
insane.
She's like, "Oh, yep, there we got it." I don't care what Viserys has been saying this whole time, and at least Aegon kind of knew. He's like, "Dad hated me," which I wish they would give more time, and I wish the series, honestly, the buildup was even longer if you were to give us
Me
good
too.
conflicts, because then you could have actually made Aegon, his descent into being this disgusting person, more understandable, or at least like, I shouldn't say sympathetic, because I don't want you to really sympathize with this, like a guy that you know makes kids fight in the streets
Come
and also is
on.
a rapist. I'm not with that anymore. That I've left those sympathetic ways
Yeah,
behind me
that's
for
the
those
old
kind of
Don.
people. That's the old Don. I'm turning over a new leaf,
Right.
and this one is saying pro Aemon. After this episode, I want Aemon to be on the throne. I was kind of like, yo, Aemon, fucking slit Aegon's throat and assume the throne, because he's so duty focused. I love
I know he's
Aemon in
actually a
this.
good character. Like in another world, he's like he accepts the duty that's in front of him. He's like part of a corrupt corporation because he's like so ingrained. He'll just kind of go with the flow no matter what and stick to his guns. Like you said, he's duty bound or whatever. But I feel like it wouldn't take much for him to switch sides to Team Black. You know what I mean? And then he would be just as duty bound. Like I think him and Damon could actually get along really well. I
Yeah,
don't think there would necessarily be a big power grab between them unless Aemon really is like thirsty for the Iron Throne, which I'm not sure he is. I know in this one he feels like he deserves it more than Aegon, which he definitely
yeah.
does, man. But at the same time, I feel like, don't you think he'd rather be on Dragonback and fighting, kind of like what Rhaenyra said she wanted in episode 1? Does he
Yeah, well,
really
I
want
don't
to sit on a fucking throne and legislate?
No, I don't think he wants to do that part of it, but I think he can understand, like, he's way more duty focused than I bet, or excuse me, than Damon was at his
Yeah,
age, right?
for sure.
That he might be able to grow into it. But yeah, he probably wants to be in the thick of it and fighting, but I don't think I don't know. I think he maybe's not good for a peacetime king. If he was a wartime, like an Aegon the Conqueror,
Right,
like,
yeah.
yeah, he'd be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna. Aemon is the king I'd want if we're like, hey, we're gonna take Dorne. This is our year, baby. We're taking Dorne,
Yeah,
baby.
for sure, for sure. I'd rather I'd rather see Aemond stay as this like general guy though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Think Bahubali style, right? Who's the
Oh,
king and then who's the leader, like the military forces. I'd rather see Aegon, or actually I'd rather see Otto Hightower on the throne, and then I'd rather see Aemond as like the captain of the guard or whatever you want to call it. That's what I want.
Otto, dude, I loved Otto in this episode. Like the things he was like trying to pull through, like all of his plans. But there's a moment there where I felt like maybe the Targaryens are rubbing off on him, because he
yes.
because he says to Alicent, he goes,
Yeah.
you look so much like your mother in this lighting. I'm
He
like,
licks
dude,
his lips a little bit.
chill out, Otto, my guy. I love you, but you can't be doing this.
I know, yeah, exactly. And it was out of nowhere too. Like she was trying to have a conversation with him, and he clearly was just like staring at her rack for the last 2 minutes or whatever. He was not listening to a thing she said. Because yeah, he's thirsty for Alicent. And I'd actually listen. She's good looking, but I gotta imagine as her father, I wouldn't be thinking the same way.
No. I think it's just, it's that lighting. There's a lot of stress going on. I'm going to defend Otto still. Also, there's a line,
Sure.
Otto, where Alicent goes, Alicent says, you'll have to kill them. And Otto replies with, it's unsavory, but a sacrifice we must make. I just love his dialogue in this is great.
I love the blunt, like aristocratic, like savage stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that a lot too. But the incest, not so much. But maybe he could just blame it on Alicent. If like if he goes through with it, he's like, well, Alicent slipped me milk of the poppy. You know how she likes to do that to old guys.
Yeah,
It wasn't me.
Well, let us know what you think of episode 9 of House of the Dragon. Comment down below. Which side are you on? Who do you think is right in all of this? Who should actually sit on the throne? Ideally, if you could just wipe away all claims, who should sit on the throne? Let us know down in the comments. Smash that like button, like Otto's thinking about smashing Alicent, or I like everyone's thinking about smashing Alicent. Look at the top 3 guys up there; they're all licking their lips to get into Alicent.
I think Kristen Cole's doing it too. By the way, pretty sure.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Well, how? Okay, well, everyone else supposedly has no pullout game, so maybe Kristen Cole has a great pullout game despite his uncontrollable anger he has.
Oh, good for him, right? The only guy in Westeros.
All right, well, smash it like everyone wants to smash Allison, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this.